You know, in movies, sitcoms, cartoons, everything, there are sequences. They shoot things sequentially to make sense, but they're always compressing time. And what do you have not enough of at any point in your broadcast news life? Time. I think you've probably figured that out. And in sitcoms and dramas and movies and all that, they have multiple cameras to do all these things. You know, and in TV news or sports or whatever, you got one. Generally, it's you.
I wanted to be in New York. All of my friends are in New York. Before I came out here, I couldn't even point out Missouri on a map. I'm from North Carolina, so I couldn't point out Missouri on a map. I'd never been to Missouri.
Coming to college here was a big shock and difference than what I'm used to, especially living in the suburbs of Chicago where you can hop on a train and be downtown to this huge city in minutes.
When I came to school here, I had this whole vision of journalism and anchoring reporting that was completely shattered once I got here. And I mean, it wasn't shattered in a bad way, but it was something that I needed to know before I went out in the real world.
Television was an experiment. It was an experiment across the country, and certainly a university-owned station like KOMU was an experiment.
This never existed before, and we can almost guarantee it'll never exist again. They're not going to sell any college an FCC license, even if there were any available, which there are not.
Could have gone anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, but I came here for that reason.
This is one of the craziest places you will ever work.
I don't think I would have gotten this experience anywhere else at any other school.
Do I just look into the camera? What do I think about KOMU?
We have the best journalism school in the world.
In 1953, the federal government began granting a lot of television licenses around the country, and KOMU and the University of Missouri was on that list.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
But it did not specify whether it would be an educational station, which was the term then, or a commercial station.
And we speak to you in this moment in the studios of KOMU, University of Missouri's own commercial television station.
And they literally waited until the last hour before they notified the Federal Communications Commission in Washington that it should be a commercial network affiliate. That was a huge decision.
This is NBC.
As an educational station, it would have to beg for money all the time. And as a commercial station, it would be supported forever by advertising dollars.
I'm Brett Benton of Benton Homes, proud to be one of KOMU's carrying companies of Mid, Missouri.
Win a free Papa John's pizza. Watch KOMU News at 5.
I've been involved in many other stations and a couple other broadcast companies before coming here, and everything we do throughout this TV station is done as it would be in any other commercial television station, with the exception of our newsroom. Our newsroom functions as a lab for the School of Journalism.
Hey Matt, I think I've got a story. I'm gonna get right on it.
Here you go, good luck.
Excuse me.
So confusing.
Hi.
Tripod?
Oh, wait.
KOMU has long been regarded as the most awesome teaching machine in American television, period. We teach journalism like nobody else.
We teach by what's known as the Missouri method.
The Missouri method is a teaching device employed by our nation's finest minds at the world's first journalism school. At the Missouri School of Journalism, students are taught to learn by doing. They engage the daily tasks of journalists throughout the industry. Together, students unfold today's stories inside of a true commercial environment. The future of journalism, taught boldly in a place like no other. See the Missouri method and learn by doing.
When KOMU went on the air in '53 and began incorporating students in 1963, frankly, television was not all that sophisticated and viewers were not demanding much sophistication.
KOMU TV, as you may know, is a new commercial television station of the University of Missouri on Channel 8.
Over time, the local competition and the national sort of bar of excellence or standard rose, got higher, And the journalism school faced a liability that we had to improve the quality of our student on-air reporting or suffer a loss in viewership.
We'll go on the trail to show you how those people, who those people are, and what they,
Every time about this, every year about this time of year, every year about this time.
Taking a look at temperatures around the state of Missouri right now with mostly clear skies all over. Look at that. How about that? There aren't any temperatures right now. Let's try this again.
We promise a journalism education, but we don't promise an on-air education.
If you're a young person coming up and wanting to get into the news business, like, you got to make sure that, you know, you're on your P's and Q's.
How much could utility rates rise?
Beth, if the city approves, the cost of water and sewer could go up a few dollars each month. Tonight, city leaders presented their case before the public. Oh, man. The city plans more public discussions before the issue is put on the ballot. The next meeting is in 2 weeks. Oh, Columbia is having a hard... The public discussion is before the issue is being put on the ballot. The next meeting is in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Craig.
Boy. And there's problems with electricity as so many students are coming into Columbia. There aren't enough workers to hook up the electricity fast enough. We'll be right back with sports.
Nobody else will go through this. Nobody else will. Because people watching at home don't understand, like, everything that goes into, like, preparing a story. All they see is the presentation. And if the presentation's fucked up, then look at him. Can't even get his words out. Look at that guy. Oh, his tie is crooked. Oh, his makeup's fucked up. That's all they care about. They're not. that's all they care about. But if you do a good job, they're like, okay, he's got it. He's going places, right? It's like two extremes. Either you're a complete fuck up or you're going places. That's how it is.
Before I was in any of my broadcast classes, I thought all those people had a teleprompter out in the field. I'm like, what's so difficult about it? And then once I got out there, I'm like, oh, it's a lot harder and difficult than it really seems.
And as I mentioned earlier, the maintenance will begin today, and I'll continue to keep you updated throughout the morning about once MoDOT begins their work. And reporting live in Cooper County, Luke.
If you walk with me this way, we can come up the street. And then when you really go through the classes and all the hard work, you're like, wow, it's a lot of work for just a little airtime.
My roommate had a teacher tell him once, you know, embrace the suck, because you're gonna suck in the beginning.
I think the biggest challenge, and I tell this to prospective students and parents coming in often, is at KOMU we have to accept a reasonable level of mistakes.
Someone fell asleep on air. I remember it was during the morning, and there were actually two funny stories. So a guy literally was like, well, I'm here at, and he literally fell asleep on camera. That's one of them. And they just said, okay, well, we're going to take it back here at the studio. And there was another one where the guy was doing a live shot, and it was pretty good, though. He kept with it.
Despite Growth Energy, an ethanol lobbying group, saying E15 will not...
He was right near the grass, and the sprinkler started going off everywhere.
...harm emissions or harm engines. It also says E15 is the most tested fuel additive in the history of the EPA. Car concerns aside, researchers at the University of Missouri released their own study.
He's getting soaking wet.
In a 53-page report, researchers concluded fuel prices would rise up $340 million because of the increased corn prices.
And he just kept going to finish his live shot and said, back to you guys.
To view the entire study, click on our website, KOMU.com.
Brandon, you are a dedicated reporter. Tell us what's going on.
I think the sprinklers came on.
But I'm curious, like, what do you think these people think, the ones out there that tune in, when we look?
These folks know. These folks know. People in Columbia know. People in mid-Missouri know what's going on. They give us shit, but at the same time, they understand, you know, what's happening.
We turn on KOMU, and the first thing we see is, say, a young girl or a young man. Maybe the suit's a little bit too big. Maybe the dress is too sharp of a color. We see students, and regardless of their appearance, we immediately know students.
Yeah. Clearly, those moments exist. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you that we are certainly the most highly recognized TV station in our market, and probably the state when it comes to professional recognitions.
When you tell people that you go to the University of Missouri, they're like, oh, like, that's cool. And when people started realizing that 4 out of the 12 interns were from Mizzou, everyone started talking about it in DC. They're like, oh, like Mizzou must be doing something right, and Wolf Blitzer mentioned it. I don't think it sunk into me, like, you're on an NBC affiliate station right now, and most people don't do that until, years after college.
Here's like you do with the dog and pointing towards the door and telling them you needed to go.
When I came in for my shift, we got in a report that there had been a break-in in downtown Columbia the night before. The aunt answered the door and was telling me about what happened.
He backed away, and I kept raising my voice. And then when he was at the door, I told him he should have been ashamed of himself.
It's had over 200,000 views on the KOMU website, and then BuzzFeed picked it up, and CNN called and asked for the interview.
We train students, but we train them with a standard of excellence.
We're very much dealing with a generation that is used to doing things very well. And having it and saying, do it again, repetition.
I haven't studied this, but I think that's one thing that's difficult for a lot of people in the current generation that are coming up. You have not had to fail many times in your life, or when you have, your parents have picked you up, or someone else has picked you up and helped you understand that it's okay, you didn't really fail here. If you're working at a real newsroom and you make a serious error, you might not get another opportunity. You probably will, but you might not.
Every day it could be only a few small mistakes, or it could be gigantic mistakes where my face is the one on TV when it's going down. And so on live TV, many witnesses if it doesn't go well.
More viewers tune into KOMU 8 than any other news station in market size number 137. Market size reflects the number of viewers, and the number of viewers depends on the station's coverage. Since students largely make up the coverage, the Missouri School of Journalism must separate the students prepared and unprepared for KOMU 8. Before being cleared to report, they must first excel in 2 major courses, Broadcast 1 and Broadcast 2.
The house, so we have a little bit of video, but again, a lot of times there are people in this program get the lowest grade they've ever gotten on anything, and it'll blow them away.
Those are B1 students. Those are juniors in college, first semester juniors, sometimes even earlier if they're working ahead. They're frankly very inexperienced. They're the greenest of the green. I mean, they literally have no idea how to write a script. They don't know how to do an interview.
All of a sudden, you've gone from, you're 20 years old as a student. You've never done these sort of things before. You've never had to be put into situations that, are uncomfortable.
Is he in the sun too much?
Yeah, you're gonna take a couple steps over here, right?
We're trying to teach them everything we can in a very short amount of time. Students only work here in about 6 shifts, but from shift 1 to shift 6, there's significant improvement during that time.
My first job, I covered the city government in the city of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And the mayor had been mayor there for a long time, and when I left that job after a few years and moved on, I was going down to say goodbye to people who I'd covered in city government, and the mayor was one of those people. And he said something to me that has made more of a difference in my journalistic career than just about anything that anyone's ever told me. He said, Gary, I didn't always like some of the questions you asked me, but I respected you for asking them.
What would my life have been like if I'd had a teacher like me? I don't make people cry. I allow them to cry.
When you think you've done a really great project, a really great story, he has a way to tell you that it wasn't really as awesome as you think it was.
He was like one of the toughest graders in the J school.
This is something that a lot of people don't know. I was like on academic probation in grad school because of B2.
If you come from a place where you're used to constant affirmation and people telling you how wonderful you are, it's culture shock coming to my class. You're never going to work so hard for so bad a grade.
For example, if a shot was out of focus, you would lose 5 points.
Oh, yeah.
But if you have a NAD sound break, it's plus 5 points.
Yeah, that's true. You have positive points and negative points.
Positive points and negative. I just like how you go automatically to the most
because that was the most traumatizing for me.
The most traumatizing. Did you have a fact error?
I never had a fact error, but like when I read that it was 100 points off,
you're like, I'm never getting a fact error.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna call 10 times.
The people I teach here are going to be the news leaders. They're going to be the top journalists, the top producers, the top news directors. They're going to determine the course of journalism worldwide. I set things up so that people will fail. I believe in the redemptive power of failure. If you fall down and you pick yourself up, you learn from your mistake. And that's the hard knocks, bare knuckles approach I have to teaching journalism.
It'll come back on you in a good way, and that the mayor of Cedar Rapids might be saying one day to you, or someone else saying to you, you know, I didn't always like the questions you asked me, but you know, I respected that you asked them, and I appreciated that when no one else was asking those tough questions.
I was in the lab editing until 9 o'clock last night. I had an interview at 7:30, had to come back and edit more. And you enjoy, you know, if you like it, you enjoy it, but at the same time, nobody wants to be in the lab till 9 at night on a Wednesday. So I'm basically just doing one more last check through to make sure everything sounds okay, to make sure it looks okay, or jump cut, stuff like that. So I'm pretty much done. I'm about to save it and export it, and you know, hopefully it does better than a 30 out of 100, but you know, might be wishful thinking.
I was taking B2 last fall because I took B1 in the summer. So I took B2 last fall, then spring semester I studied abroad, and then summer semester I had an internship. So I've like had like a little leave of absence. So if I want to graduate on time, I'm taking B2 and B3.
When we take a newsroom class, it like totally compresses our schedule. When we do like a theory class like law or something, then those are, you know, those have like 30-page papers, but they're easy. This just like sucks up your time, so we're more intimidated by the time element.
The worst thing you could do,
Last night, a little bit of miserable rain that's been hanging over Middle Missouri this week couldn't stop 9 innings of World Series baseball. Cardinals ended up winning Game 4. They have a chance to win the World Series tonight in St. Louis, Game 5. 23rd ranked. Okay, let's. Oh my God, this is fucking. Well, guys, we're having a little trouble here, so we're going to pitch back to the news desk. Hopefully, we'll be back with sports a little bit later.
You're opening yourself up to criticism no matter where you work. And I think that's something you have to realize. I think if you are willing to accept an award for your work, you should be prepared to accept criticism for your work.
How many drinking games can I play watching KOMU every time somebody says, you know? I get pretty defensive because I'm like, you know what, go fuck yourself, because like we're working hard and we're doing our thing. But at the same time, I think these people, they give us crap, but they understand what's going on. They know that like this is a launching pad for a lot of people.
The worst part is when I forget to turn the air circulation off in my car from taking in the air outside to just inside. So that smell seeps right in. Today we are going to America's Best Inn. It's a hilarious name for it considering why we're going. Last night somebody broke in. I guess they didn't break in. They walked into the lobby and held the employee at gunpoint and robbed her. But that's where we are heading right now.
Are there certain things you think about while you're on the road?
Yeah, especially, man, when it's like your first time out there and you're dealing with people a lot older than you who definitely look at you as a young person. They don't look at you as a reporter with their own responsibilities. You are a kid that can be pushed around. You really need to go in with the mentality that you are a reporter, you have a responsibility to be here, and you have rights that defend you for being here. So it's all about arming yourself with that knowledge, but also not trying to be confrontational with it.
What's that?
My favorite part of doing any sort of shoot? That. Hi there.
What are you guys doing?
What are we doing? Yeah, we're here with KOMU TV. We're just doing something on what happened here last night.
Can I say hi?
On camera? Yeah. Absolutely. Who do you want to say hi to?
Hi!
Do you just want to say hello? You want to say it to anyone in particular?
Hi, Baba. Hi, Sissy. I just want to say hi and I love you.
All right, have a good one. You don't want to be the old curmudgeon reporter with the that doesn't have time for the people around him. I'm here to serve other people. I'm not here for any of my own reasons. So if someone wants to say hey to the camera, say hey.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. No. Was she the one that just came outside?
Yeah.
I didn't record anything. No.
Okay, good.
I just pointed the camera. I didn't hit record or anything like that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. There's another whole topic of conversation. Children on camera. Everyone has their idea of what they think they'll be doing when they come to the journalism school. Did I ever imagine that I'd be going to America's Best Value Inn to gather video about a break-in that happened? I didn't say that was something I ever imagined exactly. But to actually be the one that gets to go out with the camera, cover news in the community, and cover all of that, yeah, that was definitely on my list. It just comes in all different shapes and sizes. We almost had another story on our hands right there. Like I just want to help people out. That's all I really ever came here to do. Well, the story, how I found it was I was just leaving for school my sophomore year, going through my closet. While I was searching, I found the hat in the very back of the closet. I was just looking at it and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And because it's a snapback, it could still fit my head. Not that I had to adjust it very much from when I was 10, but Scouts have just always meant something really near and dear to me. I learned a lot about myself and a lot about just how to behave in life. When I was working here really early on. Thank you, everything! When I was working here really early on, I wasn't too good at this job yet. There was a customer that he didn't tell me, he told my manager, and my manager told me. It was like that kid in the Weeblos hat. Gave me some of the best customer service I've ever had at a restaurant. And I was like, my manager said that and was like, I'm very pleased with you, so keep that up. And so it was really nice, when you get down on yourself and you're thinking you're not doing the job as well as you should be, you're messing things up maybe in your mind, that maybe being friendly is a nice way to combat that.
We love him around here. All the girls love him. We feel like we've known him for years, like he's family.
And it's really weird seeing him because I'm used to him in casual clothes and now he's all dressed up. I'm like, that's Lucas. He's all spiffy, professional.
You want to be good at a lot of different stuff and know how to do a lot of stuff because that makes you indisposable. I mean, if you can bake bagels and cut onions and help out on the line and make dough, then, it makes it harder for someone to fire you. See you later, everybody. The servant of all is the greatest of all. It's something, I learned that back in high school, working on camp staff as a Boy Scout, and that motto has just been so, true to me.
A 183-year-old tavern is going down today and will be moving out of Boone County for historic preservation. KOMU 8's Christina Alexander is live at the tavern and has more on the demolition process and the tavern's history. Christina?
Somebody was jamming. So what I like to do when I just come to someone's house or something like this, I leave my gear in the car and I go talk to them first. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people here. When Patrick Doherty moved into his home 40 years ago, he never expected to find this. I think that's the man that's been looking after it.
Sometimes during the heyday of the Boones Lake Trail, from St. Charles to Boonesboro, Missouri, there would be sometimes 30 wagons a day.
Is it my turn to bother you yet? Hi, I'm Christina Alexander.
Oh, glad to meet you.
I'm with KOMU 8.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen you folks twice already.
Yeah.
What are you up to? What are you doing? I recognize you. I didn't know if you see me, but yeah. So yeah, you can shoot whatever. It was built in, I think he said 1829, and it's been here ever since. And it was apparently on the one of the main trails, so it got all sorts of visitors. And there was Joseph Smith, the Mormon founder, apparently stayed here. The trees were alive before George Washington was born, so that's how old of a building we're talking here, which is an incredible history, of course.
Doherty has tried to sell the property in the past, but no one bid more than $1 until Brunetti bought it for $10.
It's remarkably intact considering the age of the cabin.
I think he said it was the oldest building in Missouri. Okay.
I want to get a shot inside. If you wanted to go in.
You can go in down there?
Yes.
Okay.
These don't have many nails in them, but the one buys there, the small chunks that are laying here, they're full
All right.
of nails.
I'll keep an eye
Are
on
the
it. Thank
floors safe to stand on? It's about 100 hornets' nests up there.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I see them now. It's crazy to think how many people must have stayed here. Didn't find any rock spots there?
No, this floor is pretty solid, actually. I'm going to try this one now. I don't know.
Yeah, that one looks all right, too. Never know. Probably better shoot with the light that way. It's all about just trying a bunch of stuff and seeing what works.
Brave walking on those.
Oh, you gotta be the intrepid reporter, right?
Yeah, that's right. I hope your tetanus shots are up to date.
Actually, I'll be good. Well, I was hoping the door would fall, but... Are you pushing it down, or...?
If it doesn't fall on you guys, I'll push it back that way.
Sure. All right, hold on one sec.
I've just been unable to maintain the tavern for the past year. There's some deterioration.
And there's the opening shot. That worked well. That'd take a couple risks. Hopefully the sawdust doesn't hurt cameras. Kent Collins, every time I see him, literally the last 4 times I've checked out a camera, he's walked in. And like he knows who he is, he's nice and everything, but he's like, take good care of my camera. Always, Kent, always.
Pat Doherty says this takedown, as he calls it, is bittersweet.
Pat here's been interviewed. That's probably his 6th or 7th interview today. I'm just a student, it's not going on TV and no one will ever see it. I'll probably come back out and run him a card, a thank you note. I don't know, just show your subjects you appreciate their time.
One of the things that I've discovered is that I've become an expert on really random and a wide variety of things. So when I have conversations with people and they mention something and I'm like, yeah, I covered it and this is what I learned and everyone's like, wow, you kind of know everything about little stuff.
Are we
It's
all
5:34.
Or
4:30.
4:50.
4:30.
Yeah. What time is our hit? You're supposed to know these things. Call for the love of God.
Just set
find
it,
out when your
what
hit
do you mean?
is.
You just have to set it up.
Find out when your
already.
hit is.
Oh my god. Don't you just have it set up by 5 and then they tell you when you're on?
Yeah. It's usually good to know though.
It's in the A block and it's very close to the top, but not at the top.
See, that could be a problem.
That's enough.
That could be a problem.
Why?
Because they usually want to set up 10 minutes before, first of all.
We'll be fine. It's 5:30.
These are all the things you need to know about when you don't have a live truck. You don't want to do anything, do you?
No, I'm tired at this point.
Wait until you get to advanced. You have to do packages.
I know. Is this like gonna be to influence like people to come into broadcast? Because this is gonna like drive them away.
No, this is just. This is the real deal. This is the KOMU experience.
They're gonna be like, they look like they want to die.
Sometimes you're thrown into situations that are pretty hard to deal with. You know, if you don't have a good sense of humor, I don't think you're going to last very long.
It's true of a lot of newsrooms that you spend a lot of time just goofing around, not really goofing around, but you know, making fun of one another, having a good time, talking about the issues as much as you're trying to report on them, and then when it gets down to the wire, it's time to get to work and actually do exactly what you know the public perceives us as doing all day long.
Wasn't this completely avoidable though? I mean, if Cooper County only
had an email, was able to scan documents in email, yeah, but in their line of thinking, we should know how to use a fax machine. They know how to use a fax machine, so should we.
I'm trying to get approval to shoot video in a courtroom for a murder case.
Okay. It was a case of I knew it had always existed, but I had never actually used one.
Frick do I send a fax? That's a mystery. What's the number? Have you ever sent one before, Nick? What? Sent a fax?
882-2043.
Repeat the last 4 digits there.
2043. All right. Just put fax cover sheet. Attention, Nancy Fisher.
The other one is Randy. Do you have
Brandy? B-R-A.
Oh, Brandy.
I don't know how if it's an I or Y. Just put a Y in it. Okay. And then when you're done, let me know, and I'll call the lady and be like, "Did you get it?"
Okay, I'll be back.
And then just dial the number, hit start.
I think you just have to push send. Just play around with it. Let me.
Oh. Magic is in the air.
Oh,
You just dropped the chair. No answer.
I'll call the lady. I don't think that's our fault. I sent you a couple of things. Getting the fax machine's telling me that there's no answer. And I have the right number, so.
You anyway. He's a big jerk.
We'll try it again, thank you. That's the right number. They said they're receiving other faxes there, so.
Even Matt Johnson, who's got like at least 10 years on me, was also like, I don't know how to use the fax machine.
What am I doing wrong on the fax machine?
And so it was just one of those things where it's like, nope, we got to use a fax machine.
Who doesn't have email? Can you do a story on that?
Yeah, Cooper County. The same people that don't talk to us when we ask them questions about dead bodies. That they have to fax stuff. They have email, but the clerk is not going to give out a personal email.
Wow, it just got better. They have email and won't use it. So instead of being antiquity, they are an antiquity and we're paying for the antiquity they don't use.
I don't know why they don't like it. Like, do we need to have a representative from Microsoft Outlook or like Hotmail or AOL come to them and like do a PowerPoint? But they wouldn't even know PowerPoint. Like, do they need to come with easels and big boards to these people and pitch them the benefits of email? Like, it's ridiculous to me.
I don't know. One of those.
Is this a shared box? Is this a shared box?
60% of the time.
Yep. 60% of the time, we're to 95.
That's why this is named Brian Phantom.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Not only do they have email and they're not using it for the fax machine, but they have a fax machine and they're not using it.
No, they're using
They're
it.
just
It
not
only,
answering it.
it only doesn't work when we send them stuff. It works when everyone else sends them.
Of course. Just send personal faxes and stuff like
This
that.
is the same sheriff's department that doesn't have a scanner in their office.
Who are you, Cooper County?
I'm going to investigate Brian.
The sheriff just
Someone
goes.
shows up with like a fedora and a pen behind their ear, like in an overcoat.
The sheriff appears to
and
be
like,
knowing.
hello? Well, there's been a problem here.
They follow leads that they get from
They still,
themselves.
from us. They still smoke in the office.
Oh, blinking light, green blinking light. Oh.
them.
This is so
I'm
thrilling.
gonna get out of here before I regret being on video.
Oh. Successful operation completed. 1987 has come back.
Maybe.
No answer.
Oh, you got it. If that's what it takes to get this content and to be able to disseminate the information that they have for us, we'll learn how to use a fax machine. Or rather, I'll learn how to use a fax machine.
Oh, do you have a Watts number that you're dialing?
I'm sorry?
A Watts number?
I don't know what is a Watts
Okay,
number.
you don't have one then.
I guess not.
That's that number that you have. Any long distance call, you need a Watts number.
Hey, what's our Watts number? Because you know what ours is. What's our Watts number? What?
That mean?
We need a Watts number to send out a fax.
What's a Watts number?
I don't know, but you need one. Angie, do you know what our Watts number is? Oh my goodness. Angie Bailey.
We have to fax them a written, like 1986, written request to get a probable cause.
So Brandy gets this.
Who?
This is like a Abbott Costello sketch.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I was not dilated at all.
It's sweet saying send this video to Cooper County. Say thanks a lot. We have nothing better to do 10 minutes before a news test than spend 45 minutes trying to fax 2 documents to get information that we're required by law to give us.
And they'll say, sorry, we can't play video on any of our computers. Will they what? No, we can't email them anything. Because they won't give us their email. The one means of getting it to them is by faxing it. That's how they get requests for things, is by faxing. I think the fax machine was more just a generational gap. It's one of those things where, very much like a manual transmission, while manual transmissions are still a very viable thing in cars, it's something that cars still have. Hardly anyone uses a manual transmission, so it's just a lost art. It's a lost skill.
The county does not have email. They have to use their personal email address.
Sheriff@gmail.com.
So they don't even have, like, they'd have to go mattjohnsonTV@gmail. Like, so that's why they're not giving out their email, because it's not a county email.
This is ridiculous.
Thank you. Okay, so a lot of people do. But not everyone. We get the probable cause?
But we did it.
Hey, we got our information.
We did it.
Fax?
The fax machine. You gotta learn to work with everyone.
Is this new information for us, or did we report it and you just need something else?
So we spent the last 2 hours trying to fax and get it. Okay.
We got it. We actually got it before.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna make it as a reporter, is acknowledging, like, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know what this is, and accepting that, owning it, but then fixing it by researching it. And so that's what I tried to do.
It could take me an hour.
I'd like to see you try. It wouldn't take you an hour anymore because I left directions for how to use it next to it. Yeah, so you're right, it wouldn't take you an hour. Someone had to take the bullet.
Rough day?
Not yet.
I really haven't done anything today. This is the second week in a row that I just have done absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it must be nice being advanced reporting, being a photog.
It is.
I'm thinking I should take, like, the back road. Or, like, not Broadway.
We're in the middle of downtown. There is no back road.
Well, not Broadway. Broadway's super packed all the time. See, this one's gonna turn red in a second. Yep.
Oh, maybe you do that now. I mean, it's only 5:45. We've got 15 minutes. It only takes 20 minutes to rear up the backpack.
Really, how long does it take to set up that?
It takes like 15 minutes.
You're kidding. Why does it take so
If
long?
I was kidding, it would be something funny. I would say a joke. There's nothing funny about how long it takes to turn on a live shot.
We'll be fine.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that works. Do it in this parking lot right here.
Where it says no parking?
I don't give a damn. Really? Oh. Park
Really?
wherever you can.
I'm gonna park in one of these.
Over here, and then we'll walk over there. Well, we can't have the car in the shot. That would be terrible.
There.
Okay. We're gonna have to carry across the shit.
You bitch a lot for being alive, huh?
Crappy ass reporters.
Oh, what? Excuse me?
He's my gift to broadcast journalism because I hired him.
He's like stone. Nothing will catch him off guard.
You learn that he's just just a really bright guy.
There it is.
1973, I'm thinking, somewhere in there.
He and his brother were at camp, and they wanted to like take their music to camp, right?
Can't feel it, but it weighs about 25 pounds. It's pretty heavy. Literally every student on campus came by our dorm room to see this thing because no one had ever seen such a thing before.
I want to say like he was like the inventor of the boombox.
Handle on top to carry it. On each side a speaker. So these were car speakers. So you install a car stereo, have those 4-inch speakers. And then this door that opened, we lost a little Formica over the years here. So the components sadly aren't here anymore, but there was a 8-track player, as you would have in a car, and then to power it was a train transformer to run a model train.
I found like maybe like a story online about it. I thought that was hilarious.
Inventors. We made a joke Wikipedia post about it, which didn't last very long, 14 hours or so, but it has lived on in the internet infamy here, as many fake things do. So we're the inventors in that. We then went to Sony and had it patented and made a lot of money. No, were we the first people to ever build something like this? Maybe.
So this will be like one of those urban legends. You know, there was a sports reporter that quit on the air while Stacey was giving a tour.
11 years is a long time to stay at one place. And I said, you know, what do you think about Dad trying something different? And he said, Dad, I think if you could come home and spend more time with me, I'd be up for that.
The way it was told to me is that the guy got through like the sportscast and then was like, and then quit like after everything was done.
Thanks for everything. You know, I hope someday when KOMU has an anniversary show, maybe they'll invite me back, do sports. I'd like that.
Stacey was in the booth, and you know, the guy walks off. Stacey's like with this tour group, and he's just like, you don't see that every day.
I think he has the perfect personality for the job he has to do.
I don't know if he was ever like me when he was younger, where it was like, hey, what's going on, everybody? He's just like this overly obnoxious person.
No, I mean, I'm not an overly emotional person. I think logic works better in most things. Drives my wife crazy because she can't have a good argument with me because I'm just too logical about it.
I took joy in like trying to like get emotions out of Stacey. I've made him laugh twice. I put that on my resume. I made him laugh like twice, and it wasn't just like it was like.
He manages that place in a way that no one else has ever managed it.
I guess I'm somebody, and this is more of a baby boomer mentality anyway, that like to think the job that he does is significant. That if I just went in and, you know, pull the switch all day to keep the lights on or something, I suppose that's important in its own right, that we want to have lights, but I wouldn't feel like it was worth the effort at the end of the day.
We're pretty tough to kind of deal with, you know. Students that overturn cars, that lose cars, crash cars, lose cameras, say curse words on air. How does someone deal with that?
And his practice of good journalism, time and time again, his practice of good journalism is almost unquestionable.
I hope an airplane flies into your desk and kills you, or the terrorists should come kill you, and stuff like that.
Obviously now we move from what appears to have, there it is right there.
Again, I'm looking from south to north, and it went into the one on the right.
After 9/11, the nation rallied in support of wearing red, white, and blue ribbons as a symbol of patriotism. National correspondents Barbara Walters and the late Tim Russert revealed a conflict of interest for journalists and ribbon wearing. The dilemma wasn't centered around patriotism, but rather objectivity. If a journalist wears a ribbon, then they have succumbed to external influences. Stacey felt that this was not an appropriate action for journalists while at work. He sent this email out to the newsroom at the time. When many caught word about his decision to ban ribbons,
I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. It wasn't like, oh, is this the right thing to do? It was like, this is what everybody would do.
the nation descended onto KOMU 8.
There was a ton of public backlash over it and got picked up on national things. I just listen to people complain all day.
It doesn't really faze you too much now?
No, you know, it didn't faze me much then. It's beyond belief and utterly disgusting. I must have some of the positive ones in here, but there weren't very many of those. New York Times. Another political cartoon. The Pain Award up there, the one with the mirror right closest to you on top. That's an award they give at the University of Oregon for ethical decision making under fire.
We may panic over something. He's the one to say, it's not that big a deal, really.
It appears that our lone nightside reporter has burned out the engine in one of our cars.
That sucks. Which one of the Scions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Burned the engine.
It sounds bad.
Okay.
She's on old 63 just out the grindstone.
Have somebody go get her and we'll tow it someplace.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal.
There's an old saying that the devil's in the details. I think it's the other way around. I think God is in the details. And in this business, you have to take care of the details.
One of my favorite things is my wife does this. She teaches a class, and on her first day of class, you know, students will say, or she asks them, okay, so can you do anything that you want if you believe you can? And everybody will inevitably say yes, because that's what they've been told all their lives. And she has to say, that's not true. You can do things that are realistically possible, but you and I are not going to play in the NFL. Maybe I'll be a place kicker. That's about it.
You know, I worked with a student recently who asked me, how long is it going to take for me to get to the network? A network job, like NBC in New York or something like that. And I have a hard time answering those questions because I have to think, I want to give them some real world, you know, answers here too, that this may never happen for you.
You have to think about things that other people don't really have to worry about, and especially journalism, you're going around other people's schedules. So not only do you have to worry about your schedule and your class schedule, you have to worry about when can this person do an interview and work that around your classes.
A student's relationship with his or her education changes at KOMU. It's no longer instructor to student and back again. Now it's a student having to be responsible to tens of thousands of viewers.
As stressed as I look right now, I love this. I mean, I love doing it, but I mean, you know, for freshmen kind of looking at this program, I know, you know, a lot of them just kind of look at it and it's like, yeah, that's fun, it's TV, but it's a lot of hard work.
So there's all kinds of scenarios, you know, for students who are dealing with frustrations. A lot of times it could be not only the frustrations of deadlines in class or at KOMU or at KBIA, whatever, you know, a lot of other stuff going on too.
The first station I worked at, there was a TV reporter, a young guy, healthy, vegetarian, you know, 23 years old, and he gave himself ulcers within the first 8 months. I mean, there's that much stress.
It's sometimes irritating when somebody says, you know, I really need this story to be good for my resume. Because what I want to say and do sometimes say is, don't you really want it to be good just so it's good?
Your GPA is going to go to crap, and you're going to end up spending all of your time out at KOMU, and that's just how it is. But, you know,
For some reason, it still ends up working out at the end.
you'll live.
Yeah.
And on that note,
On that depressing note,
it's live shot time.
Well, hairspray time.
It just makes me realize how easy it would be to go through it without actually making any meaningful connection. I don't want that to be me. So it makes me more inclined to try and make that connection and to work hard so that I don't feel like it's a revolving door.
You have to decide, if you're going to do that, it has to be very much something you love and something it's not just a job, and you're not doing it for money, because you're definitely not doing it for money. You can't even really just be doing it for the fame. You have to be doing it for something else as well.
I'm applying for graduation speaker.
No, you did not tell me that.
I have the speech in my head, but like I don't. Like how do I sum it up? What's my nut graph of this right here? a little more reflection on just like what the experience means, how we can save the world with journalism. And maybe everyone else has given that speech too, but in my head, mine seems a lot cooler. It's tough to accept that, you know, you can make a great lasting impact, and, you know, people might remember that for a year, maybe 2 years, maybe even 10 years. Maybe you'll win an award and they'll put it up on the wall in KOMU. They'll move on. It's just the nature of it. It's the nature of the world, too. Working to serve others will certainly still be there. They're gonna kill it out there.
My fellow graduates, welcome to the rest of your lives. Things are about to change. For one thing, you're not going to be living at the J School anymore, so you might want to tell people to send their mail elsewhere.
Lucas Paul Geisler.
Maybe I could have more stories. Maybe I could have had better suits or something like that. I wouldn't change anything. It all happened for a reason. Where I am right now is where I am supposed to be. And the choices I make from here will affect where I'm supposed to be later. It's the only thing I would ever want. Leaving KOMU a better place than when you found it.
You really can't describe it.
Prepare to work the hardest you've ever worked.
I think KOMU is intense, and I think it's intense for a reason, and that's because it makes us better.
Before KOMU, I was much more reserved. I was scared to kind of ask for help. I was scared to say what I wanted.
It's super intimidating when you first get here, and everyone knows everyone. It's this really like tight-knit family.
The disadvantage can be that the students are exactly that. They're students.
Real world is not just grades, oh my goodness, you know, never stress out. That's one of the downfalls, but it's the biggest strength of the station.
I needed to have my whole stereotype and idea of what journalism was completely shattered and rebuilt.
You think that you're just going to be the anchor of personality and you don't realize the amount of work that goes into it.
Everyone knows what it's like to come back and have that time crunch just eating you away until the newscast starts and you have to just look like nothing happened.
It's not just a classroom experience, but a one-on-one learning experience where I get to help mold these students and help give them the confidence and the skills that they need.
When you're in the news business, you need to have that attitude of wanting more and fighting for more and knowing what you want. And so I've learned to take control of my show, of my story.
You are limited only by your imagination and your drive.
Do something that you really feel strongly about and tell a story that you feel needs to be told, sort of helps rekindle that. And that's what's important, is that you have to just keep like rekindling the fire, because people will do whatever it takes to try to take it from you.